Today, guys, we're going to be seeing how Epicurious makes their spaghetti and meatballs with Vincenzo.
Hi guys, thank you. Hi James. I cannot wait to react to this. You will know why.
Before we get going today, don't forget to like and share the video, but most importantly, go over to Vincenzo's channel to see our reaction on his channel as well of something else and be able to support his channel. Like and subscribe because the more, the merrier, and every little bit counts. Now, let's get started.
Hi, I'm Alina Stella. I'm a level 1 chef.
My name is Lorenzo. I'm a level 2 chef.
My name is Frank. I'm level 3.
Okay, I know spaghetti and meatballs are very popular in USA. You must have grown up eating spaghetti and meatballs, right?
Well, it's pretty common. I mean, my dad didn't normally make it, but my mom would because it's common.
It's very common.
Yeah.
Now, spaghetti and meatballs come originally from the town where my grandmother was from, the city of Teramo, and lots of little towns. The original spaghetti and meatballs, okay, it's use spaghetti alla chitarra, which is a thick spaghetti made on a guitar machine, and tiny mini meatballs, okay? Those tiny mini meatballs are made differently to normal big meatballs. In fact, they only use beef or veal, and they don't have many ingredients in it. The problem is with the tiny ones is it takes forever to make. So what I believe is when some people from Abruzzo, where I'm from, where my nonna is from, emigrated to USA, introduced the dish to someone, and then someone tried to recreate it and said, oh, it takes too long to make those mini meatballs. And then people just use cheap spaghetti and big meatballs and became worldwide. That's my guessing.
Oh, that is interesting, Vincenzo. Very interesting. If anybody knows down below or has another story that they'd like to share, then let us know in the comments.
Or just go and watch my video, how to make spaghetti meatballs.
This is the recipe that we normally make for Sunday dinner. I would consider myself an expert.
Today we're back with Lorenzo and Frank, two of my favorite people on Epicurious.
I like Lorenzo personally. He's a nice, genuine guy.
Yeah, no, actually, Lorenzo hasn't been doing bad, and a lot of his recipes, he does pretty good. And Frank, I expect Frank obviously to perfect it because he has the experience. He's a chef.
We'll see. Sometimes he made some weird dishes too, so.
Frank, if you're watching, I was a little hard on you in the paella video. I didn't mean to be, yeah, because I do like you and I would love to cook with you, but some people, as you have seen Vincenzo, I don't know if you've seen the pizza video with Epicurious.
I don't want to talk about it. I did, and then, it was,
all right.
Okay.
Okay, you saw that video, right. So, yeah, I know exactly what you mean by even somebody with experience can mess up.
How can you ruin something so simple? Keep it simple, you never go wrong.
First, I'm gonna start with the meatballs since they take a little bit longer. Just place that into the bowl. Pound of meat.
Beef for meatballs is completely fine, but me, I like to add a little bit more flavor, and why not add pork sausage?
When I make meatballs, I like to use 3 different types of meat: beef, pork, and veal.
Yes, bravo. Well, what Frank said is really important. What Lorenzo said with the pork is important. By having 3 different types of meat, you really take it to the next level. I agree with that.
Yeah. No, the thing is with me is I normally here when I make like burgers or anything else, I normally mix beef and pork because it's some of the most common. I don't want to just eat the pork, but if you add a little bit of pork with the beef, it's delicious. If you can get veal,
delicious,
which I can't always get, depends on where I go, then it's even better because I absolutely love veal. Love it.
Let me start with the Spanish onion. I'll saute this in a pan. I'm gonna add some garlic.
Now, one thing about Lorenzo using the Spanish onions, I get them all the time here. They're full of water. Like, seriously, you really have to sweat them off if you want to use them for any other dishes or if you're gonna be adding a lot to them.
Something I personally do, and for me, it really changed the game when you make meatballs. I like to blend carrots, onion and celery with a little bit of oil. I make it like a cream, like a thick, not runny, but like a thick cream that you make with this mix. You put it in the mixture with the meat. Of course, not too much. Has to be, you need the proportion. And the garlic is the only thing that I will slice to keep it fresh. Honestly, it changed the game.
So basically you mince the sofrito.
That's right. I basically blend the sofrito, blend it completely until it turns a cream.
Until you turn it into like a paste.
Like a paste, yes.
If you ever see a little green stuff, take that out. You will have heartburn and indigestion. We are not browning these vegetables. We're sweating them to get the natural sugars out and the moisture out of it.
There's really no need to cook the onion. I made Italian meatballs all my life. I've worked with some great Italian chefs. So my grandmother and my family make Italian meatballs, never, ever cook the onion or the garlic for Italian meatballs.
There's a few different reasons of doing it. One is if you are adding a lot of onions, you have a lot of water in the onions, it's a lot of moisture, and you want to get rid of the excess moisture. This is one. The other thing is if you're going to be making like thick meatballs like we do in the US, where they're about this thick, yeah, the center of it doesn't necessarily cook as much as the exterior. So any onions that are in the middle are not going to be, say, maybe as done as they would be otherwise, you know?
Half a cup of breadcrumbs.
I'm gonna combine this with panko and Italian breadcrumbs.
Quarter cup of milk to keep the meatballs moist.
For the Italian meatballs, the breadcrumbs is very important. You know why? Because it keeps everything together. But what she did with the milk, putting the milk in the mix, that's not correct. So what you have to do, you need to get bread. Okay, stale bread is best, or you can use fresh bread if the easiest thing for you. The breadcrumbs goes in the mix, then you actually get real bread, soak it in the milk or water, squeeze it out, and then break the bread into the bowl with the meat and everything else. If you don't do that, your meatballs won't be as moist. The bread is the secret to have super moist, tender meatballs.
I don't really like milk in my meatballs. I'm gonna add 4 eggs.
1 egg, it helps keep everything
Bravo.
together.
So Vincenzo, do you normally add eggs to your mix or not?
Yes, yeah, but 1 egg is enough. You don't need 4 eggs like Frank did.
Yeah.
There's no need for 4 eggs.
Well-
1 egg, because the egg is basically combining all the ingredients together.
Exactly. Yeah, but are you going to be adding just the egg yolk or the whole egg with the whites?
The whole thing, the whole egg, the entire egg.
Okay.
I don't waste the white, yes.
Okay.
Everyone is different. I know maybe modern chefs now all use the yolk, but there is no need to throw out the white.
Well, it depends on how much you're making. I mean, if you're going to be making like 500 grams, it can make it a little watery. But if you're making a kilo or a couple kilos, then it's fine.
I'm just gonna ninja 1 egg into the bowl and Parmesan grated cheese.
I use Pecorino Romano just for the fact that it's really salty and sharp.
A little bit of basil.
Now, Vincenzo, tell me, see or no?
See, of course, you must, you must. Parmigiano is what everybody does, but I'm with Chef Frank Pecorino.
Yeah.
Pecorino all the way. Pecorino is sheep cheese made from sheep. It's got strong flavors, beautiful. Yeah, please do that, guys, and be generous.
You must add salt. Salt brings out the flavor of everything.
Now, at this moment, after adding the Parmigiano or the Pecorino, I would honestly be mixing it, testing it to see if it needs any more salt. It is a good idea to always make a test before.
Pepper. If you can fresh grind the pepper, it's even better. And then what you do now is you get in there with your hands.
Oh, this feels really strange.
Nice.
My hands are clean, I promise.
And that's it. That's my mix.
Right, now, one thing I would say is that if you're going to be using your hands, obviously clean them up, yeah, before doing this. Make sure you don't have any stuff under your nails. But if you don't want to go through all that, use some gloves. It makes everything so much easier. Yeah, you just put on some gloves. Yeah, and that way you don't get your hands dirty, you don't contaminate the food, and then it's easy, isn't it? Easy peasy, just throw them away.
Now we scoop.
Roll them into 2-inch size balls. I think that's a good size.
Boom, boom, boom. Karate chop, karate chop. I always get a little ninja in there. Bigger than golf ball size. Boom, boom, kaboom.
I like to use an ice cream scoop. This not only makes things more uniform, it's actually much, much quicker.
When I started making meatballs for business, I tried to use all these scoops. I tried all of them. Yes, you get the same amount, so it's good in terms of measurements, but it slowed the process so much. I found it useless. It was just slowing the process. Just get your hands, do it, and try to get the same amount. But you're cooking for home. So if some are bigger, some are smaller, it doesn't matter. But the scoop, I don't recommend it to anyone.
My sauce comes from a jar.
All right, so I'm gonna get started with my sauce, which is basically an easy peasy marinara sauce. What we're gonna do is start with the other half of the Spanish onion. Just dice it up. Again, I like garlic. And then I'm actually gonna add sweetness to the sauce by using the good old carrot.
Real quick, Vincenzo, if you're going to be making a simple tomato sauce, do you put garlic in there?
Yeah, I like garlic. It depends. It could be garlic, onion. There's so many ways of making sauce. Okay, there's not one way. The sofrito is made in many sauces, especially when you make a ragu, you know. But for something quick like a marinara, you can use garlic, onion, or just garlic, of course. Carrot adds sweetness. So what he's doing is not wrong.
No,
you know, it's not original in the marinara, but adding carrots. But you have to do sofrito. It gives sweetness to your tomatoes.
It does.
So it's beautiful. So you don't need to use sugar.
Because we're using whole peeled tomatoes. There's always this canned taste to it. So in order to get rid of that, you add sugar.
The secret to my sauce is that everything's in one pot. We brown the meatballs in the pot. Our oil is flavored with the meatball juices, basically.
So you're saying to me that he shallow fried the meatballs? Is that what he did?
So what Frank did is he seared the meatballs off first in the pan, and he's using the flavor from the meatballs to cook the sofrito for his sauce.
Which is a good idea, but you should have used a flat pan with oil, shallow fry them each side, and then finish them off in the sauce. Well, another technique is actually to bake the meatballs. That's the easiest way.
Yeah.
But you lose the flavors because frying is always, shallow frying is better.
Yeah, frying is
Well, another technique is actually cook the meatballs from frozen into the hot boiling sauce. That's a very good technique too.
Yeah, well, then you also get the juices from the meatballs into the sauce. It adds the flavor to it.
Yes.
Because for me, I don't like using the oven. I prefer searing them off in the pan first, because then you have the flavors in the pan. And I don't need to be adding extra oil because you already have the fat if you are using a mince that's fatty. But it depends on what you're going to be making.
Canned tomatoes, which we're using, tend to be a little acidic. So when you put onions in there or you put basil in there, a little bit of orange, it makes the sauce a little sweeter.
Orange? Did Frank just say that he's going to be putting orange in the sauce?
It's completely unknown. No. It means spaghetti and meatballs, and you're adding orange to the sauce. It's very weird. This guy's a chef. I never heard in my life you put orange in the sauce. For what reason?
If I'm not mistaken, in the last video that we reviewed with him doing a ragu, they switched the recipes around. He had the rind of an orange in the recipe.
No. Sorry, no. And not because I want to be a traditionalist. You don't need the raw orange to make a good sauce.
I put a bay leaf in, but with the orange rind and my basil, I like to tie it together with some butcher's twine. In the kitchen, we call this a sachet or a bouquet garni.
A bouquet garni is a little different. It's not normally with orange, but he's doing this just so it's easy to take out the herbs and all the ingredients instead of fishing them out of the sauce. So this is one trick that you can use if you have some twine, some kitchen twine, to wrap everything together. But if you're going to be making a video on how to make marinara sauce, don't put orange in it and don't let Vincenzo see it. This is true.
And the other thing is, he's actually putting basil in the oil. Like there's no sauce in there.
Yeah, no.
So you're basically killing the basil completely with the oil. Completely killing
the
it.
basil should be going in at the end. Basil's a very delicate herb, very delicate. It's not like, say, rosemary. Rosemary can take a little bit of a beating. Basil, not so much.
To get that Italiano feel to it, we're gonna add some Parmesan rind to it.
The rind? Interesting.
I've seen someone else doing that. It's very interesting, I think. I'm pretty sure in a way it does release flavors. It must.
Vincenzo, tell me that if this is true or not. One of the Italians that I worked with said that his family actually would take the rind, save the rind. They would scrape off the outer part of it, but they would then pop it into the microwave and cook it or fry it, and it would pop. You know, it'd be basically like a little souffle,
a
little snack that then they would eat. So it would be crunchy,
Yes.
kind of like pork scratchings.
Yeah, it could be. It's some families do that, yeah. But the best reason to keep this beautiful ingredient, the Parmigiano rind, is when you make a soup, like a minestrone or something. You put it in there, you cook it in there for 2-3 hours, and basically you cut it into small pieces or cubes, whatever, and that adds flavors. But also when you eat it, you have this melted rind, Parmigiano rind. It's actually beautiful to eat. You should try next time.
I like to use canned, peeled, crushed tomatoes, no skin. I also like to use a little tomato paste. Tomato paste adds a little texture to your sauce, makes your sauce a little thicker.
So now we add the tomato sauce. Make sure you cover all of them.
I also like to add seasoning at this point. A little bit of black pepper.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a good handful. It's a lot. It is.
You gotta be careful with the salt because if you put too much now, the sauce is gonna cook down, it's gonna be a little too salty.
Real quick, if you do happen to add too much salt and it does reduce and it's too salty, if you have more tomato sauce, you can thin that out. So it'll save the sauce. So that way you won't have to start over again.
You know, that's something that my mom does every time she makes meatballs, and she puts it right in the sauce. I really like basil, so I don't mind adding a little bit more.
The juices from the meatballs will just accentuate the taste of this sauce. And the longer you cook it, the more thicker the sauce will be. All right, meatballs, swim.
This not only flavors your sauce, it also helps to keep the meatballs tender. And then I'm gonna let this cook for about 40 minutes to 60 minutes.
I love Lorenzo. He's a nice guy, but his sauce wasn't ready yet. Frank's sauce was nice and alive. So you put the meatballs in there and they cook nicely. But 60 minutes is way too long. 45 minutes too long because the meat was already half cooked. So in this case, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, they should be ready.
Well, the easiest way to check is that, well, first, if you don't want to cook them that long, you make them smaller. And if you want to doubly check, just cut them in half and see if they're done or not.
Now we're gonna do the spaghetti. My spaghetti is pretty simple. I get it straight from the box.
I have fresh pasta today, bucatini pasta. Why not get it as close to restaurant quality as you can?
Box pasta is really great for every day, but if you really love people, you make fresh pasta. Today we're gonna make a small batch. Most people would say it's really difficult, but it's not hard at all.
It's not hard for Frank, but if you don't have the time in the kitchen, it's best to either make a production of the pasta before or buy some good quality pasta if you want some good quality pasta.
That's right.
Nice spaghetti.
Once I take them out of the box, I crack them in half. Okay, just so that they fit in the pan a little bit easier.
Aspetta, they invited this girl. She's lovely, this girl. She's lovely, good looking, but why are you doing pasta and breaking pasta? I didn't want to say anything wrong to this girl. She was just sweet. And now she's sour.
And I didn't know that she was going to do this, Vincenzo, yeah? I didn't want to traumatize you, but the thing is, a lot of people do happen to break the pasta before they cook it because they don't want to wait for it to go down in the pot.
Is that why they do it?
Yeah,
You can just
because
push
that
it
way
down.
it fits in the pot.
You just
But
push
a lot
it
of people
down.
don't want to do that. They break it and then put it in the pot and then it's already in the water.
I didn't know that was the reason. I didn't know.
Yeah, that's the reason. Yeah, that's the reason. It's either that or if they don't want it too long, they break it up.
And you immediately stir pasta in the water, or else Clumpville.
And now that it's boiling, we're gonna put the pasta in. I add salt and olive oil just because that's what I've been told to do. I don't exactly know what it does.
Well, she doesn't know what it does.
Doesn't do anything. The olive oil is a waste. You're wasting olive oil in the water.
But you know what? There's like that is a big discussion on a lot of chefs. You see some famous chefs, they still add oil to the water. But to me, it's not needed. If you're going to be adding the pasta to the sauce immediately, you don't need it.
But in this case, you need a lot of water so the pasta has space, has room to boil.
Yeah.
I say has got room to dance in
Yeah,
there. You don't want the pasta squashed in the pot.
No, you
the
don't.
pasta needs to have space to move.
Exactly, and that's why she broke the pasta to begin with, so she has more space in the pot.
You never add oil to your boiling pasta. Somebody had said that somewhere, and people believed them. It's wrong. The sauce will just slip and slide away.
It's important to salt your water, not only to season the pasta, but the salt actually brings the temperature of the water up quicker. A dry pasta would take about 10 minutes to cook, but a fresh pasta only takes 2 to 3 minutes.
Yes.
And that's it, that's our spaghetti.
Yeah, fresh pasta for me, if I have an option to use fresh, I'll use fresh. I love it.
100%. But also remember two things, okay? It says fresh pasta, use flour, okay? I see lots of flour, soft 00 flour or all-purpose flour. Yes, it's quick. But I see lots of people now on TikTok and social media, they use semolina. Semolina is fine, great. You can make pasta with semolina, but it takes maybe 7 to 10 minutes to cook spaghetti made with semolina, just because it's a hard durum wheat, so it takes a little bit longer to cook.
Vincenzo, what's the debate? Is it good to use a pasta that's more semolina or less semolina?
Both of them are good. Semolina is good. There's nothing wrong with that. Historically, semolina is more used in the south of Italy. The north of Italy use flour, like Bologna or the region of Bologna, where Bolognese is from, or lots of pastas or lasagna and everything. They use 00 flour. They don't use semolina.
Interesting.
They're very proud of that. And then you go in the center of Italy, where semolina and flour is mixed. It's very interesting. There's nothing wrong with that. It's more got to do with
cultural.
Geographically. Yeah, it is.
Oh, interesting. That's very good to know.
That looks good.
That's a bit sad. See, Frank did a good job. Frank mixed the pasta. See, the other two chefs, we got Elena and Lorenzo, they just place the spaghetti in the plate and then put the sauce on top and meatballs on top. Instead, Frank, he mixed the spaghetti with the sauce, because the spaghetti needs to absorb the sauce and get the flavors. The spaghetti, otherwise, they don't taste like anything. You need to add flavors. And then he put spaghetti and the meatballs and the cheese on the plate. That's the right way to present them.
I can see the browning on this meatball, and I'm really excited about that. The cheese looks awesome.
This is spaghetti and meatballs my way. Beautiful homemade pasta, nice torn basil leaves, gives a little sweetness. Delicious.
I'm going for it.
Just delicious.
It's really
I think my
good.
grandma would be proud.
Delicioso.
Wow.
Vincenzo, who do you think did the best?
It's hard to say, because I think the meatballs mix was, Lorenzo did the best one, but I don't like how he cooked them. He kind of burned them, and the sauce he cooked them in was not right. And then the pasta wasn't served right. Instead,
Well,
Frank did the mix well, but apart from the eggs
and the orange. Don't forget the orange peel.
and the orange peel, oh my God, I forgot about that already.
You keep forgetting about the orange peel. No, for me, I think Frank did the best. It's just that if he didn't use his little trick of using the orange peel, I think it would have been better.
Yes.
And not putting the basil in first with the little sachet that he used. His little butigoni, which isn't a butigoni. But if he didn't do those two things, I think Frank, for me, did the best. Lorenzo, second. And of course, the girl, she obviously did the third best. Not saying that they did horrible, none of them, and just saying that is, for me, for this video, that's the order I would put them in. In any case, guys, let us know down below on who you think did the best, and also if you add any other little things to your marinara sauce that may trigger Vincenzo. Let us know in the comments. But Vincenzo, thank you very much for doing this with me today. I appreciate it greatly.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And guys, be sure to go over to Vincenzo's channel and say thank you as well. Subscribe to his channel if you haven't done so, and watch our review on his channel, because both of us are doing this on each other's channels.
We're having lots of fun together, so hopefully you have fun with us.
Exactly. And guys, if you have any questions or comments, let us know down below. And if you would like to see us cook together as well, then by all means, let us know what you want us to cook, and maybe we'll get together quite soon and cook something together. Until then, guys, thank you very much. Take care. Thank you, Vincenzo. And I'll see you guys again very soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.